For years, ChatGPT has been the default name everyone reaches for when they think of AI. It became a verb, mirroring what Google it did for search decades ago. But throughout 2026, a quiet migration has emerged among serious developers and high-end content creators. These power users are now selecting tools based on a specific, measurable calculus for reliability. This analysis ignores consumer brand recognition and total user counts, where early market entry secures an obvious lead. We are looking strictly at performance at the very edge of professional capability, where the calculus for reliance is shifting toward Claude. The monolithic default AI solution is fracturing. Power users are routing complex tasks down specialized purpose-built pathways. Massive consumer user numbers often mask the reality at the capability edge. When the stakes are high, relying on the mainstream default is no longer a given. The first major capability gap driving this migration is long context reasoning. Raw token capacity dictates how many words you can paste into a prompt box. But as professional tasks have matured throughout 2026 into multi-step reasoning chains, the requirement has shifted to cognitive endurance, the ability to maintain logical coherence over thousands of words. This chart plots task complexity against output coherence. As document length increases, the legacy default model decays, leading to logical gaps. By contrast, Claude's response to extreme context remains stable across the entire axis. Answering a single query is easy. Synthesizing a 50-page technical research document while maintaining strict formatting rules requires a different class of endurance. Claude's architecture and training approach are specifically tuned to prevent logical decay in these deep document scenarios. It holds the entire context active and balanced. As enterprise tasks grow longer and more complex, this specific endurance gap multiplies in real-world impact, detaching from what basic benchmark scores suggest. This gap is particularly evident in developer workflows, specifically when examining structural coding. Both tools are highly competent at generating isolated, syntactically correct code snippets in a vacuum. If you need a single Python function, either will work. The breakdown point for developers occurs when managing context across large, multi-file software projects. Production codebases are a web of interconnected file branches and dependencies. When updating a function, the legacy model fails to track variables across systems. Claude successfully maps those complex dependencies, catching subtle inconsistencies across branches before production. The ability to catch subtle cross-file inconsistencies separates a basic coding assistant from a reliable workflow partner. The third major capability gap is strict adherence to highly nuanced multi-part instructions. A dangerous failure mode in AI usage occurs when a model quietly drops one or two parameters halfway through a long response, satisfying some constraints while ignoring others without alerting the user. Claude demonstrates extreme precision in holding all stated constraints simultaneously, maintaining accuracy across every requirement throughout the entire output. This split-screen graphic compares the two outputs against a rigorous standard. The gray list shows dropped constraints. The cyan list reflects perfect constraint adherence. In high-stakes professional work, an output that quietly drops a subtle constraint is often worse and more dangerous than providing no output at all. Beyond raw capability, we have to look at behavioral and psychological metrics to understand professional adoption. The primary danger in enterprise AI is confidently incorrect output. An AI that hallucinates with absolute certainty will trick professionals into publishing errors. This abstract logic node represents an AI processing a highly ambiguous or uncertain prompt. The typical behavior is to force an answer regardless of certainty, presenting incorrect information as absolute fact. Claude's alternative behavior is visible reasoning. It acknowledges uncertainty and makes its logic process transparent, opting for calibration over blind confidence. Making reasoning visible allows enterprise users to actively audit and verify the logic chain before applying the output to real work. Professional trust is built by failing safely, transparently, and predictably. That predictability leads to another crucial enterprise requirement: cross-session consistency. Professionals track the success rates of complex prompt templates over long time horizons. These logs reveal that unpredictable quality variation destroys efficiency, particularly when a prompt works on Monday but generates unusable output on Tuesday. This timeline graphs output variance and quality across multiple distinct usage sessions over a simulated workweek. High volatility, these unpredictable peaks and deep valleys, rapidly erodes user trust. Power users are migrating toward tight, flat, highly predictable thresholds, where the quality of the output remains steady across every session. Enterprise pipelines cannot be built on volatile foundations. They require identical performance day over day. Anthropic has maintained a highly public positioning regarding AI safety and careful, deliberate development. This is a practical checklist requirement for corporate risk mitigation and compliance teams who need to ensure data security and responsible tool deployment. This careful alignment stands in sharp contrast against a broader industry narrative perceived as racing toward capability at the expense of necessary guardrails. Throughout 2026, this exact enterprise alignment has fueled a massive organic word-of-mouth campaign within elite developer circles and professional communities. In highly technical communities, reproducible, real-world peer recommendations will always overpower mainstream consumer marketing budgets. So here is the practical question. Should you abandon your current default and switch entirely? The strategic answer is no. Do not execute a blanket switch. Instead, implement strict workflow bifurcation, routing specific tasks based on their complexity. This dashboard outlines exactly how to separate your workflows. It splits your requirements into high-complexity routing and high-velocity routing. Route tasks to Claude for deep research synthesis, multi-file software architecture, and long-form writing where constraint adherence is mandatory. Retain ChatGPT for workflows requiring massive plugin ecosystems, vast external integrations, rapid ideation, or simple daily queries. For simple tasks, the default remains an excellent floor, but for complex, interdependent work, Claude has established a higher ceiling. True professional workflows now require the active management of multiple specialized engines, rather than lazy reliance on a single tool. Stepping back from the specific tool comparison, there is a structural lesson to take from the 2026 AI landscape. Yesterday's market leader is never guaranteed to remain tomorrow's best technical choice. The technological foundation is quietly shifting beneath the surface. The tools we rely on are specializing and diverging in real time. You have to continuously audit your tech stack based on actual, measurable capability gaps, rather than brand inertia. Professional excellence requires selecting instruments based on their technical capacity to execute the work at hand.